Online directories. A lot of people say that they're extremely valuable if you get into online directories. It's on our checklist. It's valuable. Be careful and take your time. Don't bother with things that don't offer value other than the link. They shouldn't require you to boost them back with a reciprocal link. Most either only link non-commercial or they require money. Some are also very strict, and if you get rejected and try and submit again, you're automatically rejected, so bother with the quality guidelines and be careful and pay attention and go slow. Don't submit before you're ready. You should at least have 10 pages of content. Some would say much more. Some would say don't submit until you're done your websites. And definitely submit and wait for the answer before you add things like AdSense or other advertising. Some suggested directories. The ones on the left are highly recommended by just about every source I've ever seen, including Connect Your Local. The other ones, only if you can afford to bother. They used to be really good and they're slowly dwindling. Especially things like Linkopedia. That just sounds scammy, which is why I put it there in red. But they're only $10, and they'll link to anybody, which is probably why they're not worth it. Okay? Some swear that if you put your link on local Google, Yahoo directory, and best of the web, which is BOTW, that alone can give you a huge boost because it's assumed that all of those sites are trusted. Your trust rank goes through the roof. But they're expensive. And everybody seems to recommend business.com. Those articles were about 6 months old. I cannot find how to submit, even to pay, on business.com anymore, so I'm thinking maybe they got bought. Get indexed. Make sure that you create a sitemap.xml file. Sitemaps are very valuable. Your human sitemaps are extremely valuable for being found, but your XML sitemaps are also very valuable. Submit it to Google. That's more on the checklist. Try and keep no pages that are important more than 3 links deep. No index things that aren't valuable. No follow things that you don't trust. If you're going to redirect URLs, if your content moves, make sure that your URLs don't break, and don't use header redirects. They look spammy. They look like you're bait and switching. Use a 301, which is a moved permanently, or a 302, which is a moved temporarily redirect using either Apache or IIS or whatever your web server supports. If you give a 200 response code, which is everything's okay, and the only content is a header redirect, instantly you've got huge negative against you because it looks like a bait and switch. You got ranked in Google for some content that used to be there. Now that it's ranked, all of a sudden you're pushing them to your sales page. Okay? If you're tracking clicks, make sure you give the same URLs to Google that you would give to a human. I won't get too much into cloaking because it's a negative thing to do. If you really want to try Google, read up on cloaking in terms of search engine optimization. It's a black hat technique. I'm not going to give it time of day. Okay? Carefully consider why you're redirecting. Maybe the original URL is better. And then some unverified tips. The age of the domain, the older the better. If your domain's been registered for 10 years, that's better than if your domain was registered yesterday. Maybe. Domain renewal date is farther than 3 years in the future. Maybe. It shows that you're going to stick around, that you think your business is worthwhile. At the same time, it's so cheap to renew a domain name for 100 years that how long is that going to be valuable? Again, these are all things that I can't find proof for or against, but they're at least somewhat logical. Okay? Lots of history in the Wayback Machine that is still content topical related to what's there now. Domain has never been associated with spam before, and even if it's now re-included in the index. I don't know how much that hurts, but it can't help. Lots of links on a low value page is bad. If you've got a PR 0 and you link to 1,000 other web pages, they're not going to index that page. A little bit more vague one, links from IPs that are in the same class C. Anything that has the same first 3 numbers in the IP address quad. Links from other sites that have that. Supposedly, It's assumed that you've got a whole bunch of websites, you've bought a domain, you've bought an IP block, and you're just cross-linking everything. Okay? And temporal things, rate of change. If you're constantly cycling your content, sometimes that's good, and they can track that, and sometimes that's bad. If you're switching from cars to flowers to mortgages, okay, bad stuff. Don't. Insist that everybody come through your front door. Don't insist that everybody come to www.wecreate.com and then find what they're interested in. If you can get a link deeper into your site because somebody else is more interested in linking directly to a product page, don't fight it. Okay? Don't have a splash or a doorway page. Don't have a click here to enter. That's one of the worst things you can do. Don't optimize for search engines over people. I've said it again and again. Don't use anything that prevents the search engine from crawling your content. Don't give different things to humans than robots. Ah, the hidden tech. Don't hide indexable content behind post requests. Things that you want, don't put them behind post requests. They don't have to push a form button or anything like that to get to the content because Google won't. Spam bots will, but Google won't. Basics, don't get involved in link trading with off-topic sites. It used to be pretty popular. Anybody willing to link to you and you linked back, great, we're both going to go up in PageRank. Don't use throwaway domains or Google bait. It was pretty popular, but as some of us are aware from our friends at Geosign and Guelph, that very quickly got blacklisted and they went from huge numbers of people to almost nobody now. Don't use automated content generation. It looks unnatural and Google will eventually be able to tell. Maybe they can't now. Don't bait and switch. Don't rent links from things. Don't rent links especially for the purposes of manipulating PageRank. But at least make sure you're doing it from topical sites. It's just like buying a banner. And assume that all SEO suggestions you find are valid. Don't assume that. As I found just 6 months ago, some of my advice has changed, and it went from being a positive to now being a negative. So I highly encourage everybody to read the Google Webmaster blog because they'll notify you of the big ones, and they only post about once a week. It's worthwhile, but SEO does change, and all the advice out there, make sure you take a look at the date. A lot of really bad advice used to be good in 2000, and it still comes up in the Google searches. Don't use hidden text. It's all about intent. Do you intend to deceive? If you don't intend to deceive, then you're okay. White on white's bad. Is CSS display none evil? Only if your intent is to deceive. Using JavaScript to hide content on load is only evil if your intent is to deceive. If you go to google.com, there's more button at the top to find other services. I was going to show an example, but I'm running late. If you turn off JavaScript, you click on that button, it takes you to a different page. If you turn off CSS, the links appear. If you have both JavaScript and CSS turned on, it works in a hijacked, nice, user-friendly way. The intent is not to deceive, the intent is to give a good user experience. If you want more information, that's the official answer from Google on hidden content. Tracking your success. I think this is my second last slide. You should track your success. A great tool is Google Analytics. It'll show you trends. Be sure to use Google's Webmaster Tools. There are other Webmaster Tools on that checklist I handed out, but they're really just about submitting a sitemap. Google Webmaster's Tools will tell you who's linking to you, what the keywords are when you search. It'll tell you whether your sitemap has been indexed properly, whether there's problems, and it's also where they will report to you before they blacklist you that you're doing something scammy. Okay, in closing, SEO is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't get to page 1 tomorrow. Focus on the human and site page usability, semantics and validation, and standards always can help you win. Not using them doesn't hurt, but using them certainly helps. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Build natural links and do it slowly and consistently. Don't get 1,000 links tomorrow. Use a checklist if you've got one, now you do, to track the little things and refine your strategy at least twice a year, but don't overdo it. If you're constantly changing things, every time Google changes their algorithm, you're going to get whacked by them changing their algorithm temporarily to try and experiment. You're going to change everything all around because you went down in rankings last week, and if you didn't do anything, you might come right back next week, but now you've hurt yourself. So, take time and take patience. That's it.